And stirring introduction. I would also like to acknowledge, since you mentioned the Mama Sapano hearings, that Congressman Gores was the one that was texting me the whole time, guiding me through the principles of the PNP and the AFP. And so in a sense, I could say that he's my mentor, one of the ones that first reminded me of usurpation of power. Thank you, sir. His Excellency, Philip Goldberg, and other dignitaries present here today, Congressman Roy Rogoles, and distinguished government officials, Mr. Frank Evaristo, President, Rotary Club of Manila, Mr. Rodolfo Bediones, Immediate Past President, Mr. Dave Romualdez, Chairman, Journalism Awards Committee, our other board members, Mr. Jim Paul, of course, Mr. Art Lopez, Mr. Magdalanan, Mr. Chrysler, the important guests we have today, our journalism awardees, our distinguished guests. It is actually nice to be always invited to a Rotary event, but I know it's never going to be easy. But I know it's going to be light. I come in here and I feel the energy, masaya pag Rotary gathering. At napapansin ko, marami sa inyo, kahit na 2 taon ko nang hindi nakikita, ay hindi tumatanda. So there must be something in your camaraderie, in your togetherness, in what you eat, whatever, that you've maintained your youthfulness. Our awardees today are different things to different people. Many respect them, even more rely on them, but some fear them. Depende kung saan ka napapabilang sa lipunan, sila'y ginagalang, sinasandalan, o kinakatakutan. In the darkest days of our history, to the enlightening visits of Pope Francis, in the depths of destruction or among the highest peaks of national celebrations, journalists can be found earnestly documenting our history. During Yolanda, Ondoy, Sendong, or Habagat, the Zamboanga siege or Mama Sapano, we found them there. In many rallies, whether a bloodless or a bloody protest, they were there too. But journalists do not only document events. It is their inquisitive minds, their courage to probe and ask the important questions, and their fortitude in finding the answers that keep our public officials true to their obligation of serving the people. Transparency and accountability are principles which are necessary for a democracy to work. Citizens will be able to participate meaningfully in governance only if all relevant information is available to them. Transparency and accountability are central pillars of good governance and effective public service. Media has a role in improving accountability. A strong, untainted, and objective media is important in our drive against corruption. It's been said that the media has a key role to play in informing individuals. It provides an inclusive and critical platform for public dialogue and debate, stimulating interpersonal communication and ultimately policy making that benefits a greater number of people. Media must be empowered as a partner in progress. In fact, in our Constitution, under the Declaration of Principles and State Policies, it provides that the state recognizes the vital role of communication in information and in nation building. It also provides that no law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech, of expression, and of the press. To flesh out these constitutional principles, I have filed several bills in support of media and the press. Some of them include Senate Bill number 1733, or the Freedom of Information Bill, also known as the FOI Bill, which we passed in the Senate in record time, 8 months, when we assumed office in 2013. This was a campaign promise. It was not easy. I had to debate the best. Thankfully, and this is a favorite story of mine, Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago was so worried having to interpolate me, and I waited until the last day of our interpolation. When she was finally in the Senate and at the podium, she said, "Senator Ko, I feel very maternal towards you." And so instead of really interpolating me, she provided me with guidance. And for that, I was grateful. She was a staunch supporter of the freedom of information. And I was also fortunate enough to have had the chance to debate with Senator Enrile, for he also provided safeguards in terms of national security and the like. So, to state out these constitutional principles, as I mentioned, many believe that sunshine is the best disinfectant. Greater transparency could have prevented the pork barrel and other scams, which we are finding out can be kept secret for many years, even from the best investigative journalists. But that was then, and this is now. We are at the dawn of a new age of transparency, a time when it will not only be investigative journalists of your ilk who will have the power to find and expose information that others want to hide. Netizens weigh in on the issues faster than the 3 p.m. deadline in the Senate. They provide the necessary checks and balances in the media. Now we have TV and radio, print, and the internet. Just like the executive, judiciary, and legislative branches of government that provide, or that should provide, checks and balances. If I had my way, any citizen should be able to access government contracts, project details, and budget allocations. This is the purpose of the FOI that has been one of my priorities since day one. The FOI only adds just one more piece to the arsenal of our increasingly connected and engaged citizenry. In the short time I have been in government service, I have realized that the public we serve has quickly become the most empowered citizenry our country has ever known. I don't think the investigations on the PDAF or the current investigations on the Makati City Parking building would have been as successful or as quick without the citizens weighing in on it through the internet. Armed with social media-enabled devices and protected by the constitutional rights in a flourishing democracy, today's generation already spent a great deal of their time on finding and spreading information aside from taking selfies. In this new age of transparency, young people will increasingly turn their cameras from themselves to the turbulent but fascinating world around them. Freedom of information as enshrined in our laws, combined with the wonders of technology, will be powerful weapons to kill the cancer of corruption. It is like the simple and wondrous power of sunshine, that force of nature that kills infections. Ang mga nakatago nga sa baol o sa cabinet ay inaaman. Kailangan ilabas para makita at maarawan. I also filed Senate Resolution 533, a resolution calling for an investigation to resolve the killing of journalists. Despite the nobility attached to your profession, it remains as one of the most vulnerable. While we are considered to have the freest press in Asia, sadly, the number of media killings and media harassment continue to rise at an alarming level. Many of those who risked their lives while in pursuit of the truth still await justice. 57 of them were murdered on the 23rd of November 2009 in Maguindanao, the single deadliest event for journalists in recent history. I've been pushing the PNP leadership to set up a hotline, the DILG, dedicated solely for journalists, and to designate a special unit or a quick response team to protect media persons under threat. There will be a day of reckoning for them when they come back for the budget hearing. Unfortunately, we in the Senate, we want to enact a lot of things, but being in the legislative branch, you cannot enact these things just as quickly. You can only regulate or do your oversight. Through their work, the press has shown to be a vital partner in development. They provide a magnifying glass by which we can examine issues from all sides, thus acting as a catalyst to changing laws and regulations so that they become more responsive to the needs of the people. Any government that wishes to embark on a development strategy must work hand in hand with media. As a policymaker, I believe that we can achieve progress through embarking on a strategy of poverty alleviation, global competitiveness, and anti-corruption programs. I think these three encapsulate what needs to be done. Poverty alleviation. poverty in half to 12.5%, strengthen our agri sector. We still need more water entrapment facilities, post-harvest facilities. Education should be responsive to the needs of the times. Health coverage should be universal. And school lunch programs targeted to our children so that they can be competitive adults. And also the strengthening of the conditional cash transfer program, which is actually allocated to families that need support so that they can also be monitored in terms of their health checks and for the education of their kids. Anti-corruption, strengthen the judicial system, and just wages for government employees. Punish to the full extent of the law grafters and corrupt officials. In all these, media plays a vital role in monitoring our progress or deficiency. While I encounter members of the media all the time in my line of work, it was not until my son started working as a cub reporter in a network that I truly realized how difficult and how challenging their jobs are. My son's first coverage was the feast and procession of the Nazareno. As a mother, my heart was in my stomach, worrying how my son, a bit skinny, can survive in the crowd. Let me tell you, it was the most rewarding coverage for him. He described how the devotees have it down to a science, how to conduct the procession. 6 million people, I know we think of the injuries, but can you imagine almost a mob moving in unison to be able to get the blessing of the Black Nazarene? I am a devotee of the Black Nazarene, and our proclamation rally in 2013 was beside the Quiapo Church, while my son's first real coverage was the Nazarene's procession. I just had to mention. The long hours waiting, if you will, just to get a statement. My son describes this as a reporter. The brotherhood with his crew, eating in a carinderia and being thankful for the ugly rice. There is a battle every day, and they are troops that stick together. Cameramen, assistant cameramen, driver. Through it all, walang iwanan, makuha lamang ang istorya. The best advice I usually get on the situation on the ground is from a media reporter. I asked one of them, I don't know if you'll remember, George. He was in Zamboanga. Ano ba talaga ang situation sa ground nung nandun ka? The reporters I spoke to had given me objective, valuable insights on different issues because they belong to neither political party. In fact, in the US, when President Barack Obama spoke at the Gridiron, he joked that he asked Clarence Page of the Chicago Tribune, "What tips can you give me so that I will be a successful president?" And Mr. Page of the Tribune said, "Have your birth certificate handy." I think we can all learn from this. Lest we are accused of being a Martian. Today is not only a day of recognition, but a day of thanksgiving for the dedication, patriotism, and courage of our awardees. I would like to thank them, Ms. Ruby Bernardo Tayag, Mr. Vic De Leon Lima, DCMM sa Istenta, Ms. Vicky Morales Reyno, Mr. Lodi De Castro, ANC, Mr. Ted Failon, Mr. Conrado Banal III, the Mindanao Daily Mirror, the Cebu Freeman, Business World, Manila Standard, Mr. Tony Lopez, Ambassador Antonio Cabaco Chua, Ms. Letty Jimenez Magsano. Kilala ko po ang lahat ng ating mga awardees. Hindi man personal, nadidinig ko na sila, nakikita ko sila. Ang iba sa kanila, mentor ko nga na maituturing. Sila ay nagtatext sa akin, "Senator, tanungin mo ito." Nauuna pa sila sa impormasyon kesa sa amin. At ang masasabi ko lang, lahat sila ay karapat-dapat na parangalan bilang mga outstanding journalists ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat sa Rotary. Thank you, Rotary, for this advocacy, which is very important and vital for our democracy, to keep the spirits of our journalists alive and to tell them that we appreciate their work, and to tell them that we are also watching them. how they report, how they present the news objectively and fairly. I would like to thank also Mr. Babe Romualdez for what you have done here, for bringing all of us together here. It is certainly a privilege to be here today because of your invitation, and I thank you, sir. And of course, you know, we wouldn't get to this point if we didn't have the ones that taught us also in the past. But before I go there, I think Mr. Goles mentioned about the Mama Sabano and gave credit to me. Of course, that is not all mine. I'm thankful for the cooperation of my fellow senators and also for those that showed us that they truly cared and gave us the information that we needed. The senators, when they were asking me, Senator Poe, how are you able to maintain calm and at least it was an organized hearing? How were you able to maintain the decorum? And I said, it was a simple answer for me. I was once a preschool teacher, and I know how to deal with children. But in everything that we do, everybody has a right to their opinions, and we respect that. Everybody wants to be acknowledged. Everybody wants to be noticed. And we should not take anybody's word for granted. And I gave them a chance to speak, but constructively, so that we can come up with a fair and just conclusion. So I would like to give also credit to somebody who became my teacher in high school, who is now a respected writer, who has maintained her beauty and youth also through the years. Thank you, Miss Joanne. Miss Joanne was my teacher in high school, but if you notice why she still looks young, she was a new graduate when she had it. So when she taught. So again, I would like to quote, actually, to paraphrase a quote from Voltaire. He said that, while I will occasionally disagree with you with what you have to say, write, and broadcast, I will defend to the death your right to do so. Maraming salamat po.